call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Approved claims in the amount of $368,180.86.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Approve operators as listed on the list sheet.
For the period of May 18th, 2021 to June 30th, 2023, contingent for any successful completion of a background check and payment of any outstanding debt owed to the city.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on approval of plans and specs authorization to go out to bid for the City Hall maintenance and remodel project.
So we have in the packet, the kind of preliminary budget based on the engineer's estimate of work to be done. It's sort of broken down into the kind of bigger picture items. But basically, if you remember, we included this in the CIP. We included $500,000 in the CIP for this. And it's kind of a combination of building maintenance that we need to extend just the useful life of the building, and then also some upgrades as well. And so when you kind of look down the list, we're looking at things like the council chamber redesign, reception desk redesign, which we can go through in a second. I believe we have a representative from Market and Johnson on to maybe run through some of that. But then we're doing a lot of, kind of maintenance sort of stuff. So that's that exterior building tuck pointing, HVAC repairs, it's painting, it's carpet replacement. We have a leaking cupola on the top. We do need or should have ADA door hardware in all of our doors. We have some roof work we need to do at the library. We are going to be relocating the server room. From basically right now, it's in that office by the back staff entrance on the second level, and we're going to relocate that to the basement now that we have space down there. And so those are the things we're planning to do right now. Another part of this project that we're not doing right now, that was kind of on hold, is that we're going to look at doing some kind of energy efficiency sort of work. So that would mean mostly that's getting rid of all of the LED lights in the building. But when we took a look at that, we think we can probably find more savings by trying to include other city buildings as well, and then we can maximize the rebates and things like that are available. So we've kind of put that on hold for now, and so that total that we put on hold is probably about $125,000, and that's mostly the retrofit for the LEDs, but then also some bathroom upgrades as well. That would be like the touchless faucets and kind of those sort of things. So basically, what we're kind of looking at as far as a total project is $638,000 total. So we did have $500,000 in the CIP. We have about $155,000 in past year CIP money that we're going to carry over, that we didn't do the work because it was work set aside for some of these things that we're doing now. But because we knew we were going to do probably all this other work, we just put it on hold and carried that funding over. So we actually have $655,000 in total funding available, cash on hand. And none of this includes any sort of potential rebates that we may get, things like that. But it does include the contingency. It includes like architectural fees, things like that. So it does include kind of all the soft costs as well as the hard costs into that total 638 number, basically. So with all that, I guess one thing that we want to kind of touch on as far as sort of a bigger change is if you look at, well, I don't know how you look at it in your packets. If you're looking at the PDF packet, it's on page 11. No, I'm sorry, 12 of the PDF packet, but it's showing the, kind of the layout. And actually, I don't know, Randy, did you want to go through this and share your screen with anything, or do you want me to go through it?
Actually, I was gonna have John go through it if need be. I'm not quite at a point where I can share my screen.
Okay, John, are you able to? Otherwise, I can share my screen and kind of try to walk through it too.
Yeah, I can share my screen quick. Can you enable me to share it or just share yours,
I
Aaron?
just enabled it. Go ahead.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So pretty much what what the design intent is we'd be flipping the city council chambers. So right now, the city council chambers desk is on the east side. We'd be rotating the city council chambers to put the desk on the west side. The large bulkhead you see on the west side right now would be getting removed to clear up some space so everyone can kind of see what's going on up there. We'd be adding some TV screens and some other items, redoing the carpet, giving it a repaint, and we'd also be, keeping that vintage look and keeping all the existing wood trim and all that kind of stuff that's in place.
So the biggest part of all this is that we're installing permanent council seating. So it'll be wired. I believe our intent is to have all the wiring all there, that we can have personal monitors for each of the council members. So we're not worrying about where do we put all these different screens up and who can see what angle, things like that. So it'll basically make it kind of a fully functional council chambers without these temporary tables, without all the cables all over the floor, kind of things like that. The one big thing to note is that John did mention it, but if you're in the council chambers right now, you see that there's that kind of bump out of the wall and that arch. We are removing that. Now we're going to replace the trim, so you'll still have kind of the trim there and things like that, but we are going to take that part out to give us that additional space. So that will be removed. So I don't know if any of the council has any questions about this part of the project or concerns, anything like that?
Aaron, you
Okay.
kind of touched on the technical aspect. Through this pandemic, we woefully figured out that we do not have technology that's worth anything in here. And for any purpose, people can argue with me, but there's nothing but problems during this whole problem with sound and video. Are we upgrading that with this stuff?
Yeah, so what we'll get rid of is when you kind of, right now you got all those cables and the microphones that can get moved around or unplugged and, things like that. We'll permanently run the hard wiring into everything with plugins. Like I said, I think our plan is going to be to put monitors in front of each of the council members. So you'll be able to see what's being displayed like on the screens. So we will be moving some TVs around so the audience are still going to be able to see the screens. And things like that, but we should be cleaning up a lot of these sort of kind of glitchy sort of issues. We won't have to have that temporary screen that you see there right now. We can use, some other things. So hopefully this will kind of take care of some of that as well. And the biggest part sometimes with technologies too is that it's just what we have now is so mobile. It can be easily unplugged, moved around, whatever. This will lock things into place. And so hopefully that should eliminate a lot of those issues too. So yes, I think this should really help with some of that. It should make the in-person viewing of the council meetings a lot more enjoyable too. So now as we get back to normal, people coming back to meetings, when people were sitting in the current back of the room right now, it can be hard to see with that kind of soffit that drops down and the sidewalls. The TVs aren't angled great always. This will, I think, greatly improve the viewing from the audience as well. John, can you show where we're going to put TVs in the new chambers? So we're going to have a kind of a double screen hanging from the ceiling in the middle. And then I believe we're still going to be putting one or two on the sidewalls too. Yep, one right there. And one on that side. So there should be no bad viewing angles anymore no matter where you're sitting in the audience. things like that at the podium, that sort of thing. So that should help a lot too. So yeah, Randy, I think the short answer is this should hopefully help with some of that and some of those sort of things that we've been sort of dealing with kind of our temporary sort of setup.
I think we need to be flexible as we move along with the project, provided it's approved. And as we go and listen to IT and whoever else, making sure we have everything installed properly or the equipment needed.
Yep.
Okay. And with that, I'll move to approve the funding and the CIP bonding. Or the city's construction management.
Have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, is the contractor working with, with the cable group in terms of putting up cameras in a different way and all that kind of stuff?
Yep, so we've had Nate involved with like our last call where we talked about how we're situating things and stuff like that. So I know, so Nate's aware and he knows what they've got to do to kind of make some changes and things with their setup. And so, yes, so they've been involved in it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action regarding approval of bids for 2021 street maintenance project and addition of extra work to project scope.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members, or finance committee members, I should say. We received bids for our 2021 street maintenance project a couple weeks ago, and we received one bid from Farner Asphalt Sealers for the proposed work. And just to remind everybody what the work entails, it's crack filling and then chip sealing certain roads in town, and then also doing a fog seal over the chip seal as well. So the engineer's estimate was approximately $327,000. Our lowest bid was about $245,000, which is awesome to have a bid that's so low below the engineer's estimate. Generally, we like to see more than one bid, but because of the price that we received, we are looking forward to moving forward with this. Because of the low prices we received, Mike Mraz and I put our heads together to add some extra work to the project so that we can take advantage of the good prices we got. In the issue sheet, you can see the 4 additional things that we are looking to add to the project. First one would be fog sealing over the recently placed millings at our property in North Hudson off of Cratley Lane. Second thing would be to crack fill Industrial Street from Hanley to Mayer. Third thing would be to crack fill O'Keefe Road all the way from Crestview to Mayer. And then the fourth thing would be to crack fill, seal coat, and fog seal the remaining portion of Hanley Road from Hagen Street to Namakagon. That would essentially complete the work on Hanley Road from Hagen all the way to Carmichael. So adding this extra work, we still have a healthy contingency just in case something happens. And so you can see in the issue sheet that, yeah, essentially the math works out so that we, even with the extra work, we still have approximately $33,000 left over. So just in case, and we can always carry that over if that does come to fruition for the project for next year as well. So staff recommends approval of the lowest bid and approval of the extra work to the project scope.
Hey, Dean,
Any questions?
You know, some of these roads we just got done doing, I know it's sooner to get to it by crack filling, the better. But I've got constituents on Green Street that have sinking curb and gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see some of that improved before we start resealing and coating over something we just had done.
So, yeah, well, I definitely know how poor shape Green Street is. I actually drove through there again today just to kind of reacquaint myself with it. The scope of work for this project doesn't lend itself to adding work on Green Street to it, because what Green Street needs is essentially to start over with the pavement out there. The pacer rating on Green Street is a 3 right now. I would actually probably think that's closer to a 2 now, just driving out there today. And this work, the seal coating and crack filling and stuff, is for longevity of roads that are in the 6, 7, 8 pacer rating type thing. So,
Well, I'm not arguing the work, it doesn't match, but the monies could be used for the failing curb and gutter on Green Street, which is now becoming a safety hazard.
sure. I don't have an estimate off the top of my head for what that would cost, but I believe that that work would cost more than what we have even saved for this project. But you know, if you or the finance committee or whoever wants to use that extra for something on Green Street, that's your prerogative, obviously. But staff is recommending just taking advantage of these good prices for this work to do that extra work.
I'm not arguing that, but I just want to understand why we're spending $50,000 or $3,500 on Industrial Street when we just did it yesterday, or last year, excuse me.
Oh, that section of Industrial Street for crack filling is the block that's south of what we did last year. So it's runs from Hanley Road to Mayor Road, and we repaved last year from Hanley up to Crestview. So this would be the block we didn't do last year.
And Hanley Road?
And Hanley Road, that section from Hagen to Namacoggin has not been touched in a long time.
What's the pacer rating?
Of Hanley? I can look it up here real quick. Sorry, just give me 1 second here.
Well, either way, I appreciate the fact most of them are my district, so that helps. That's a joke. Lighten up.
Sorry, I'm looking very concentrated because I'm trying to find my pacer ratings here.
I would like to see an estimate on, in the future here, the next meeting, on the curb and gutter fixes on Green Street, please.
Okay, we certainly can do that. Sorry, it's just opening up here for me. Next time I'll have to make sure that all my stuff's opened up before you ask me tough questions here, Randy.
I should have emailed you earlier today, sorry.
Oh, I didn't see that, sorry. Well, this is opening up. Does anybody else have any questions, I guess? Sorry, Randy, not to put this off, but it's just taking a little while here.
So have you talked to the company to make sure that they're willing to do the extra work at the rates that they've proposed for the original work?
Yeah, I did talk with with our local representative from Farner, and they did indicate that they are willing to do this extra work for the prices that we received. All right, it finally opened up here. Hanley Road is a 6 pacer rating in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action regarding approval of letter of engagement with Bolton and Mink for construction inspection services for 2021 street maintenance project.
So this one is related to the last one. So this would be approving a letter of engagement for Bolton and Mink to do the inspection on the project for the street maintenance project. We made sure to ask them to have a kind of a conservative estimate amount because we're working on some streets that have higher volumes of traffic, and there's more manpower we believe than needs to be had for laying out pavement markings and stuff like that. So that's why it's a little bit higher than it normally would be otherwise, but it's still within the budgeted amount for engineering on this project. So staff recommends approval.
Move to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on Second Street retaining walls and letter of engagement with Bolton and Mink for design services for the retaining wall removal replacements.
All right, last one for me right now. This agenda item is for getting the design work going for the replacement of the retaining walls along Second Street that have previously been identified for removal and or replacement. Kind of depending on what happens with the retaining wall policy discussion tonight will affect the amount of funding that the city would contribute and that kind of stuff. But regardless of how that discussion goes, we believe we need to get going on design of these walls to get it done in the same kind of time period as the contractor is working for the Second Street project. So staff recommends approval of the LOE for the design work for those walls.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Anybody got anything for future agendas?
I do have two, obviously the Green Street estimate I'd like to have at our next finance meeting. And then Aaron, I would like to have a discussion on the PPP loan funds that are due to the city and what we may be able to do with that as far as maybe loans to or grants to our businesses that may need something.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We got a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody. We will take just a couple minutes, that's it, before we move into the council meeting. Let everybody get up to the table and get adjusted.